welcome to Unedited. So good to have you here this week, episode 23. My name is Jordan, and I'm joined by producer
Ashley.
Good to have you here, Ashley.
I felt like my voice went deeper than it actually is when I said my name there. Ashley.
I mean, I kind of liked it, actually. It had like a good entrance kind of vibe going on there.
Here I go.
But Ethan is under the weather this week and wasn't able to join us. And so we're going to do a bit of a mini episode.
Here we go.
Kind of just a prelude, I guess, to what's coming up over the next little bit. Mm-hmm. We're finding ourselves in new seasons here in life. And
many new seasons in many ways.
Exactly. How's your week been?
It's been good. The snow has aggressively come.
It really has, eh? Like it literally shifted from I think Sunday was +8?
Something,
and decent weather.
Yeah, it was nice out.
And then I'm sending pictures to friends around Canada, and they can't believe it. We're covered in snow now.
And it was so funny. So yesterday on the way to work, I was picking up Starbucks for a friend who helped decorate the church around here. And I was picking up one for myself, and I was like, okay, I said I was going to go get this. I'll go. So I left a bit early, and I walk into Starbucks, and there's 5 people there, and there's no one else there.
Yeah.
And I walk in, and 5 people at once are like, good morning. And I couldn't contain myself with my feeling a little bit of awkwardness. And my first response, I felt a little bad. I was like, well, that was aggressive.
Yeah.
I was like, but I feel welcome.
Did you actually say that?
I did.
That is too funny. Okay. And that's funny. We're going off topic now because you brought this up, but I have actually had this thought, and I go to Starbucks probably a little too much. And I've had the thought that they're way too aggressive with their hellos nowadays.
It was so much.
You walk in there and everyone's yelling at you, right?
And this is pre-coffee.
I know what Starbucks this was too, because this was a newer one,
yeah,
right? Because I've had that happen to me there. Yeah, and you don't know what to say. You're like, whoa.
And there's no one else in there, and I was just and then I felt awkward because I'm I just told 5 strangers they're aggressive saying hello. Saying hello is a nice thing. It's a good thing.
That is too funny.
But it was too much. I hadn't had coffee.
You know
it was too much.
I appreciate your honest talk there right off the bat in the morning. Starbucks, we love you. You're very friendly. We like that. But I agree with you 100%. I've gone in there before and just been caught off guard. What do I say here? Yeah, that's too funny. Was it snowing already?
Oh yeah. Apparently there had been quite a few people already stuck at this point in time. It was 8 a.m. I was leaving.
Okay.
And my car, I'm proud of my little car. My little Mazda's doing good. Good winter tires on it. I had no problem getting through.
Well, for sure. And even behind our building here, that could have been a spot where you could have had a big trouble, right?
Well, this morning there was someone who got stuck there. So I already pushed someone out of the snow for snowfall and pushing people out. It was kind of funny because I know that you got to just take those curves where there's going to be snow. You just got to be ready just to go.
Yeah.
And so I was getting all ready to go, put my foot on the gas, and I saw a car. I was like, oh, back up.
Yeah.
And we started a little lineup through the parking lot here, but had to push this lady and her little boy out. And finally, some other people came out to help because I was not doing well alone.
Oh, I appreciate you helping her. That's awesome. The hard part is actually what you just did there when you stop. Mm-hmm. That's when you're in trouble.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Keep going, move those tires a little bit if you have to, back and forth, right?
Yeah.
I was at Tim Hortons yesterday, and I felt so bad because this someone in a vehicle had gotten stuck, going in the drive-through. So 3 people were already helping, so they did eventually get this person out.
I feel in drive-through, it's the hardest place to get stuck.
And it's the worst because everyone's impatient and everyone wants coffee,
right?
Oh, my coffee, it was right after lunch too, so I think people were rushing back probably. But as I came out of the drive-through, though, sure enough, this person got stuck again on the way out of the parking lot, and there were 3 people helping them again. And I was just what, such terrible luck. But the snow did come fierce, though.
It did,
and it was the drifts that were the worst.
The wind was nuts.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, I was after work, I'm let's go to the gym, and I'm why am I going to drive extra? And I still went to the gym, and it was great, and I was fine with it. But my brain was I'm crazy. I'm literally driving another time that I don't necessarily need to.
That's hilarious. Speaking of the gym, so I did lift weights, but I didn't have to. Mm-hmm. That snow was so heavy. Did you shovel it all?
I luckily didn't. It was even hoping on the way home that my friends upstairs, I live in their suite. I'm I hope Scott had the snowblower out. And luckily when I got home, I was thank you.
Yeah.
And he had already done that. I'll shovel today, but I'm getting the easier part for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I used the snowblower for the driveway part, but for the sidewalks and especially my deck, I couldn't.
Yeah.
And I could not believe how thick and heavy that snow was. It was crazy. That was a workout in and of itself, right?
I feel whenever you're shoveling snow, you got to check that down on your box as a workout for the day because you're using your legs, you're using your abs to lift, your arms. It's a sweaty mess sometimes.
It really is. Yeah, 100%. Do you like snow? Are you a fan?
I do enjoy snow, but see, and it's just creeping in a little bit earlier than I want it. I want snow, like this is so ridiculous. Like I can control the weather from December 1st to January 15th.
Okay.
That is my like limit of how much I want snow.
Okay.
But I still enjoy other things. Like I do think snow is very beautiful. I will say that. Like I know someone got annoyed with me a couple years ago. I was like, the snow's still here, but it's so pretty. Because it is pretty. Like
is.
there is something about the first snow fall where you're like,
Yeah.
just feels like magical-esque in that
Felt
sense.
cozy last night.
Yeah, so cozy. And those
Yeah.
aspects where you're like, you're in your house, you're watching a show, snow's outside, you
Yeah.
have like a cup of tea. It's just wonderful. But in all of that, I don't like shoveling.
Yeah.
I don't like being cold.
Yeah.
But I like the snow. So it's like that, I can't win.
No, I think I'm with you a little bit. I'll extend my window a little bit earlier. I'm good from November 1st, but January 15th is a perfect cutoff.
Why? Why
Because
do we need it
the
after
snow
that?
has purpose this time of year. I feel like with Christmas
Yeah.
and just everything kind of happening, snow feels kind of good right now. But
Yeah.
once you get into like January, then you start throwing in like a week of minus 50 or something crazy,
And
right?
it's like when you get those silly, what are they called? Polar vortex
Polar
or
vortex,
whatever.
yeah. Where I grew up, we called it winter, but because we would get it for like 5 weeks straight up
Yeah.
in northern Manitoba, though, for real.
Yeah.
But like people up there made fun of that. Like that came out probably when I was living up there.
Yeah.
And people are like, "What's a polar vortex? Like that's winter, right?" But
This is
but I
normal.
understand it more living in the city though, because you're
Yeah.
not used to like 10 days of that. And if we get it for 10 days, we feel it, right? And
Oh, yeah.
it
It's
messes
like,
with me now.
Even your
So-
tires, your whole car just feels like extra. I couldn't even warm up my car last year during it. Like I was like bundled up, even though my car had been running for like an hour beforehand. It's still cold. I was like, what's the point?
That's very fun.
But I do like it. I'm happy winter's here. It's Christmas season. It
Yeah.
feels more Christmassy than it did last year.
Yeah, what did you think of last year? The first brown Christmas ever had here myself.
And so I've had a lot of like warm Christmases because I was
Yeah.
living overseas for
Yeah, I
those
guess,
6
yeah.
years, right? And so I was kind of like that. But that's different than a brown Christmas. Like
Yeah.
a brown Christmas, all the leaves are gone. It's just
Yeah.
kind of dreary
It's
and
still
glum.
cold. It's still cooler. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was just like, Christmas, I still want snow. But it's different than like experiencing Christmas in a place that's sunny because you're like, it's beautiful. And that's like, people go to the coast and you're like, let's go swimming.
Yeah.
And so there's like a whole different aspect to it. So it feels different and it has a different vibe. But yeah, I didn't like it last year. I'm not going to lie.
No,
but the
me
year
neither.
before, I missed my flight. So at the same time, like, the
Yeah.
snow's got to behave.
Snow's got its limits sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, last year was tough for me, especially growing up in northern Manitoba, where it normally snows on the ground in October
Yeah.
and doesn't leave, right? And so if it lasts in November, like people up there are just like dancing, like it's
Yeah.
it's an exciting time, right? But here, no snow at Christmas was something else.
But I will say
mentally it was tough for me.
Snow tires. That's
Yeah.
the only thing I'll say. Like, I appreciate snow more with snow tires.
Me too.
Even that, like, I think that's why it was always that December to January because
Yeah.
it's just like you don't got to trust things. But I'd rather have a white Christmas, but snow tires, if you don't
Yeah.
have them. In Ontario, I think you have to get them. I think you're not allowed to drive without them.
Quebec too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that honestly, like they are expensive, but if you're going to buy a car and own a car, I
Yeah.
do think that everybody should be driving with snow tires.
I think so too. They give you so much more traction too. Do you know which brand you have?
Is it
Michelin?
Michelin.
You had the X-Ice, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good. I had those last time. This time I bought a new pair last year. They're the Cooper something Christmas. Sorry, something winter.
Something Christmas.
Sorry,
I wish that the tires were Christmas.
I'm jumping ahead of my notes here.
I love that.
But these ones are good on snow. But not awesome on ice. Do you know what I mean? As were the
Interesting.
Michelins, I thought were good with both.
Yeah.
And the Blizzacs, Bridgestone makes one called the Blizzac,
okay.
and apparently those are like amazing on ice and not the best in snow. But if you ever see those, like take your finger and push on them,
Yeah.
you could almost push the rubber in
Oh, interesting.
because it's so soft, and that's what causes it to stop on ice apparently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't
So
know that.
sorry, I had to segue there. You made me think about tires, and
Now I know.
yeah.
Now I
And
know.
so winter tires, get them if you can. You won't regret it. I think it'll
No.
be good for you going forward. We're talking about winter, talking about snow, Christmas. Why don't we parlay a little bit? You ready for this?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's parlay. Parlay. Christmas time is kind of coming up, and the big question always is when is it okay to start? When is it okay to start decorating? When is it okay to listen to Christmas music? When is it okay to go to events and watch Christmas movies? Where are you at with this?
So this is where I feel like we're gonna parlay, but at the same time we'll see how much
We're going to
try
agree, probably.
We'll probably agree more on most of this, but we'll give the other side too.
Yes.
I love anything Christmas in all of that aspect. I will though, but before November 1st, I feel like November 1st is my beginning, and everyone's like,
Yep.
November 1st, you're still super far off from Christmas. But this year, I will admit this, and I'm like, I live in a basement suite.
Okay.
No one looks in my house except for whoever I want to look in my place.
Yeah.
I decorated November 1st.
Yeah.
I'm not even lying.
Well, that's awesome. I'm not against that, actually. And here's the thing. Here's why I'm okay with starting in November is because this season flies.
Goes so
Before
fast.
you know it, it's gone, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like instant. And so I remember last year doing the whole like, well, I better wait till December to watch Christmas movies. I better play more music then. And you get to December and you got no time.
Yeah.
Things are busy. You
got
got things
parties,
every night.
You got like all these different events, and with kids too. You have all your kids events now.
Playing catch up kind of thing, right? And then I'm definitely a November person. Typically, we've always put our tree up around November 11, 12 because we know we have that day off together.
Yeah,
so
makes sense.
we've always kind of done that kind of in the evening sort of thing, right? But I'm good with it anytime in November. I know a lot of people who don't start a single thing till December.
Oh, yeah.
I respect that too. I get it. Like maybe it helps you keep, more focused in December. I don't know. I think some people, I have a friend who does a real tree.
Oh, well, that makes
so
sense.
you can't put it up till December.
You
Yeah.
can't. Like, it's just going to be falling apart by the time you hit
Need-
Christmas.
needles
like, that makes
everywhere.
sense.
Yeah. So.
And that's why, I know there's some people where they talk about just, enjoying the season. Like, Christmas is a season, and you should wait until, December or even an Advent season to start putting things up because then you have the Christmas season. But also, then you should also technically go all the way, past January to enjoy the fullness of that Christmas season.
Yeah.
And so they kind of go the other way with that season. And I can understand, too, because you go into all of these different stores, they're playing the same Christmas music. But that's where you got to start listening to the other kinds of Christmas music. Like Sufjan, I feel like November 1st, Sufjan's Christmas albums, you're good.
Yeah, you could even do his in October. Like it's such fall music, right? Like sounding stuff.
Exactly. So you can find different kinds of Christmas music. Goodness, I think one year I had 1,000 songs on a Christmas playlist, and so you knew you were getting different stuff.
Yeah.
Some of it was the same song over and over again. But
have you started listening to Christmas music yet?
I did, but the reason why is the ladies in the church were decorating.
Okay.
And so because they were decorating, I put together a little list for them.
Yeah.
And then people are already starting to pick Christmas music for a Christmas Eve service.
Okay.
So we have all these different things that are coming up. So I'm almost forced to in that way. But then when I started listening to them, I was like, oh my goodness, I love this.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I picked up a couple records and
New ones.
we picked up the Elf soundtrack. So we always buy one every year.
Yeah.
It came on Violet vinyl. I should have brought it with me, but it's really a cool kind of looking record.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we've been playing that a little bit. Been playing a little bit of Sufjan. Been playing a
Nice.
little bit. I played Nat King Cole when we decorated the tree.
Yeah.
Because I always enjoy that record. This one's a bit of a little bit of a 90s pleasure here. But Boyz II Men, have you ever heard their Christmas album? I'm not kidding. I knew you were gonna laugh at this, but. Good album, actually. And,
That's not what I was expecting you to say at
no,
all.
I'm not kidding. They got some of the best harmonies going. But the funny thing about their record is that they didn't do Christmas songs, really.
Really?
They did Silent Night, but that's it. And then the rest of it was just
Interesting.
reimagined and was just reimagined songs by them, original. But they took some Christmas themes and kind of threw them in their compositions.
Yeah.
But it worked well. I remember listening to it in the 90s, and I just went back to it in the last year or two. And actually have grown to really like it. So
Maybe I'll have to check that one out. I've been
Give
listening
Boyz
to
II Men a
more of the
listen.
classics, like Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yeah.
Those are ones that it's just
Yeah.
I feel like I can listen. I don't get sick of.
I
Like
agree
Charlie
with
Brown
you.
Christmas, I can listen to all the time.
Yeah.
There's been a few new ones that I've been really enjoying as of late,
'Kay.
and some of them have been more instrumental type stuff.
Yeah.
But also oh my goodness, the Ingrid Michaelson.
She's good.
Her
I have
latest
it,
one
yeah.
that came out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It's been a go-to one for me. It's just I find it's really, really beautiful music.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't know her music outside of that Christmas album.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't.
I really like her music.
So interesting. I'll have to check more of it, but I do love that album. We picked that up a little while ago, and I play that one definitely quite a bit.
Sleeping at Last's Christmas too. Have you listened to that one?
A little bit. You got me kind of looking at it last year. Yeah,
I like that one. Sleeping at Last, great musician, very thoughtful musician, which I appreciate. So
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. I've been playing Hall & Oates a little bit too.
Oh, yeah.
Nicole gave me a hard time for it the other day though, because this really sad song came on, no one should be crying at Christmas time. It's
Oh,
kind of like a heartfelt kind of song.
Yeah.
And she's putting up the tree and she's like, Jordan, we need something just a little more festive at this point, right? So, but no, I definitely have listened to it. I've watched a couple Christmas movies so
So
far.
have I.
Yeah, there's a long list though, so I got to get on that.
Mine
quick.
have been more of like the cheesy Hallmark ones, but it's
Okay.
been more background music. And again, so we're like saying about you should be watching all this stuff, but there is that like I get there's people who are like, no, we can't watch them yet, and they'll wait till that December 1st.
Yeah.
They'll wait till December 15th.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's totally fair. Like do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do to make sure that you're enjoying the season yourself.
Yeah.
Someone said that they were called a Grinch because they don't start listening to stuff till like December 15th. I was like,
Yeah.
December 15th.
Yeah, it's getting a little too late.
Like,
yeah, I would agree 100%.
We have Christmas parties before that.
Yeah, I worked in a music store once, and like someone kept coming in saying it's too early for Christmas music, and like they literally wouldn't start till the week before, and I'm like, well,
Gosh.
like that's too late. Like
Yeah.
that's getting a little out of hand, right?
I feel like my limit would be if I was like really needing to fight someone. I think I would go until December 1st if they really wanted to wait for December 1st for decorating.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, my family didn't do this growing up. We didn't
Yes.
decorate in November.
Okay.
We waited till December because we got a
Okay.
real tree, or like December 1st. That was more the time that we would decorate.
Yeah.
I just love it, and it makes me happy. So you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what makes me happy in that aspect. Is a tree.
And that's what you
Fight me.
got to do.
Like-
I'm with you on that 100%. Growing up, we always did it Grey Cup weekend. So I'm not
yeah.
going to talk about the Grey Cup right now.
He doesn't want to talk about it. I was concerned for him. I really was.
I took this one a little better actually, just because of the circumstances that went down in the game. But
I was more concerned looking at the game. Every time I checked the scores, I was like, "Oh, okay, it's close." Jordan must, and literally
it was 1 point in
my
the
brain
fourth
went
quarter,
to like
right?
Jordan must
So-
be enjoying this,
Yeah.
and then I
Oh,
went to
man.
it at the end. I was like, "Oh,
I
can't text him."
I saw Zach's interview yesterday, and he said he could see the inside of his finger. Like, it was just not good, right? So, but yeah, just an unfortunate event. Good to the Argos. They played well. They deserved to win as
There we
well.
go.
So good for them. But yeah, we've done decorating, had music, did movies, even a couple events we've done already. So,
Oh, goodness.
Enchanted Forest had the walk last week.
Right,
So we went and
I
walked
missed
around
that.
there.
How was it this year? Were there new light shows up at all?
I think there was 1 or 2 new things.
Okay.
That Globe was there last year,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. So, and it was nice. The girls loved it. Like they kept. Zara was just concerned about hot chocolate, I think, more than anything, right?
That sounds right.
So, but to me, it was, we actually went both nights. So
Did you?
we didn't mean to. We were just going to go on the Thursday, and
Yeah.
then got invited with family to go on the Friday, and we decided, this would
not?
be a good time. Yeah.
I wanted to go this year. I just ended up having different plans this week
Yeah.
and their last week for it. And
Oh, that's
it's
fair.
always nice to walk through. I think I enjoy the walkthrough more than driving.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I think it's like kind of the way to do it. And this year we got kind of lucked out with good weather because
It was beautiful.
a couple
Last
years ago
year-
we went and we
Was
were
it
like
2 years
frozen,
ago?
right?
Yes, 2 years ago it was like super, super snowy. I remember wearing like full on snow pants, everything for that one.
Minus 20-ish, yeah.
Yeah, it was cold.
Well, that was our parlay that we didn't parlay
didn't
because
parlay
we
at all,
were
guys.
literally in the same boat, right?
And you can disagree. If you do disagree, let us know. It's
Yeah,
okay to disagree.
exactly.
I'm fine with it.
When do you start Christmas? Have
Yeah.
you done music yet? Movies, events, any of that stuff? What are your traditions? We're going to talk about this stuff probably more at length going forward in future episodes. But why don't you weigh in? Let us know what you're thinking, and we'd like to know more about that.
Let's go. I'd love to hear it. The one thing is I will say on this topic, though, is I would way rather have Christmas early
Yes.
into that November than some companies that do their Christmas parties in January.
Yeah.
Because that just feels, I'm like, it's done.
kind of over.
Like, yes,
Yeah.
again, the Christmas season's there, but it feels weird to have a Christmas party past
Yeah.
when it's the new year. Anyway.
So I got to ask you a question then now. So when does it all end for you?
Ooh. I say we keep our tree up until New Year's.
Yeah.
Like, we'll keep it
Yeah.
up. I'll keep my own personal one up probably till the end of January.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah.
mid-January
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
But, like, there is some still Christmas stuff that happens after. But
Yeah.
I feel like there's more, like, after that whole Ukrainian Christmas time, all those other Christmas times,
Yeah.
everything like that. So, like, mid-January.
'Kay.
But really, I start feeling more of wanting to have that change, I'd say, beginning of January after
Yeah.
New Year's.
Yeah. Yeah. For us, it's probably about the 7th after the 12 days of Christmas.
Yeah.
And I've really embraced that in recent
Yeah.
years. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, so I won't talk about that too much. But that's kind of been it. I know Nick likes to take the trees down kind of closer to like that time. I could leave them up all like till like February if I wanted to.
Yeah.
In recent years, we got that. We put a tree in the dining room that we call like a winter tree.
I like that tree.
And it's just got like clear lights and a couple pine cones on it. And we usually leave that one up until February. And
I like
just,
that you call it a winter tree. Like, I feel like that's different.
yeah, it works for Christmas, but it also works for winter. And it's actually nice to have on, like if I want to sit in there with some candles on and just
When it's dark
turn
still,
the lights
so it's
off.
easy.
Yeah, looks good. So anyhow, let us know what you think about this topic. We're going to look at In the Neighborhood.
In the Neighborhood.
So in the neighborhood, we have a series on Advent coming up. Pastor Louis is going to start talking about, the different themes that we see throughout Advent.
Not this weekend, next weekend, right?
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, so a couple weeks down the road, but we want to get you prepped for this. We want to get you thinking about this. So I thought, maybe what we can do is just talk about a couple Advent books that we kind of go through. Do you enjoy going through books and stuff at Advent?
I just started doing this.
Yeah.
It would have been 3 Christmases ago, and it was because I had already heard of the books to go through and been like, I should do that.
Yeah.
But I never really did. I just kind of tried to embrace it. I tried to do different apps and things like that. But I think it's one of the books you have in your pile over there.
Yeah.
But it was because of your wife that I started doing it. And
Interesting.
And I've really enjoyed it. And now it's something that I really look forward to is to read a book over Advent, because I think it focuses my mind a little bit more on how it should be focused.
Yeah. And that's kind of why I started doing this, I don't know when I started doing this, but just, reading through something. I try to get something new every year, but it's kind of hard because there's only so much stuff that you want to look at. And then some stuff you want to keep going over, right?
Yeah.
So I'll start talking about a couple of my favorite Advent books, and maybe you're looking to look for something new this year. The one that I've read the most probably over the last 20 years is this book by Dietrich Bonhoeffer. It's called God is in the Major, Reflections on Advent and Christmas.
Yeah.
This thing I go through every single year, and it's loaded with ideas. And he uses different themes for Advent. He the first week he talks about waiting.
Okay.
The second week he talks about mystery. The third week redemption, and the last week he talks about incarnation.
I like
right?
that. That's
and then
a
the
nice
12
little
days
separation.
of 12 days of Christmas and Epiphany, right?
Yeah.
But this whole idea about waiting and stuff, it kind of puts you into the original story.
Yeah.
Bonhoeffer's got a way to say things that very
He's
few people do,
brilliant.
right? So,
and I remember you always talking about that book, and I think that you going through that book, I knew you had gone through it so much. I remember talking to Nicole about it too.
Yeah.
And it was a book that I'm always like, oh, I should go through that one. I love Bonhoeffer, but it was one that was one I was like, oh, it was always that I should read a book at Christmas, but I never did kind of thing. And then I went to some of the apps, but
I think I lucked into it. I think I was just at the bookstore one time and saw it.
Yeah.
And I like Bonhoeffer, so I'm like, I'll pick this up, and then all of a sudden it started a tradition that
And it doesn't
I
really
didn't
get
know would
old,
be every
does it?
year. No, not at all.
Yeah.
And every time I read it, I'm like, or I see something kind of
Yeah.
new, right? And I underline something, and I got several copies of it now. So
Okay.
I lend you
I'm
one.
just-
So
I may have to look at that one a little bit.
yeah, absolutely. This is the one you're talking about that you
Yes.
went through. This is Scott Erickson's Honest Advent. This came out 3-4 years ago?
I think it was 3 or 4 years ago because Nicole gave it to, and did she got me on it. I think it was about 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think
it was a gift from her.
I think it was
when I
20.
just moved back, so it would have been in 2021 when I
Yeah.
when I started going through it. And I've used that one the last 2 years. I will say just the art in it. It's a book you
Yes.
got to pick up because the art even within it is brilliant.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful artwork, and it's given me different perspectives that I never really looked at before. And I think
Yes.
that's the why I liked it so much is
Me
the
too.
perspectives aspect that it gave to me.
Yeah. What I find Erickson does probably better than anyone is brings the humanity into the
Yes,
picture,
exactly.
right?
That
and
was it.
Makes it human, and you're like, whoa, I've never thought about it from that side of humanity before. Right?
But I think that's where we get in Christmas a lot is we get to this point where it's something we've known, even myself, not like growing up within the church or anything like that. It was still something known. It was this story. It was this aspect, like
Yeah.
all these different things. Like when I was still in elementary school, at a public school, we were still talking about Christmas as Jesus and everything like that, which you don't hear that in public schools as much anymore.
Yeah.
But just because of the society and everything that we're in, but
Yeah.
so I always knew that as the story. And so it was always this, almost glorified story,
Yeah.
if you can imagine, even in your brain, even though I understood that it was more than that, but actually being like, oh, these are people.
Yeah.
And
That's
you
exactly
know
it.
that. You know that.
Yes.
Like your brain knows that and understands that.
Yeah.
But we always think of just like baby Jesus or Jesus as an adult and everything like that. I'm just going to make a little disclaimer. There's some construction going around our area. So if you're hearing a little bit of extra noises, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that humanity and actually recognizing Mary as being this woman who carried Jesus
Yes.
in all these different aspects, and that humanity that is so easy to not think about.
Agreed. And the emotions, just everything they would have felt. Like the subtitle to this book, Honest Advent, is Awakening the Wonder of God with Us Then, Here, and Now. And I think that's exactly what it does,
Yeah.
right? There's 25 readings. You start it December 1st. You still got time to order that if you want to check that out. But I agree, the art is awesome too. And I just think it's a great read, and it kind of gets you, I don't know, deeper into the season. So
Yeah.
if you want to kind of do that, make sure to check out Erickson's book. Brian Zond wrote this book called The Anticipated Christ,
Oh, I
A
haven't
Journey
heard of this
Through
one.
Advent and Christmas. And Zond is awesome at bringing out the the history. So if you want to know more about what the prophets say about Jesus,
Oh.
spends a lot of time in Isaiah in
Okay.
this book, and then takes you to the Gospels towards the end. And
Interesting.
yeah, just really brings it out in such a way that I think it might give you a fresh perspective and look at Christmas, and maybe like a deeper appreciation, if I could say it like that,
Okay.
after reading through some of his themes. One of the things he does here, and he's the one who really turned me on to this, and I said I would comment back at this, is that he does the 12 days of Christmas at the end, right?
Oh.
And every year on Instagram, he'll post on Christmas Day and say, don't put the tree away. Don't put the treats away.
Yeah.
Grab another cup of eggnog and relax and enjoy. The party's going for 12 days, right?
Yeah.
And I've always felt that Christmas is too big to be a one-day thing. Like
Exactly.
just literally December
It is a
25th, and it's like,
season.
oh, we're done, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why the 12 days has become something that I've totally began to celebrate. Now I probably make it till about January 2nd or 3rd, then it sort of falls off a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do think it's cool to keep in mind that this is a celebration. This is something we're celebrating. Zahn's book is awesome if you want to check it out. I'll show one more, then we'll talk about a couple things we're looking at this year,
Yeah.
right? This is a book called Come Let Us Adore Him by Robert Morgan. I don't know anything about this author, really.
I've never heard of him.
Nick picked this up at I believe at a thrift store a little while ago. But
Nice.
what he does is he tells the stories behind the most cherished Christmas hymns.
Oh,
And so
that's neat.
a couple of years ago, we did a series here at the Neighborhood
Yeah.
Church where we talked about Christmas
I remember
songs,
that,
right?
yeah.
And I randomly found this that year. And it was
Okay.
perfect timing because what he does is he goes through like so many of the hymns that have such deep theology.
Well, and hymns, like all
Yeah.
the hymns that they have, there's so much more than just the song.
They're rich.
There's so much in them.
Yeah.
So I might have to borrow that one from you. too.
Yeah, he goes through it, kind of plucks out here and there, like different little like perspectives, different quotes, history on the writers, and different things like that.
Cool.
So it's a cool little read if you're into that. It's worth checking out.
Sounds like a good one.
One book I forgot I have it at my house, I think, is Timothy Keller wrote a book called Hidden Christmas. Anything Keller writes is worth reading.
He's a great author.
Yeah, absolutely genius. So check that out. If you want a fresh perspective of Christmas again, you'll like that. You're reading something this year?
Yeah, starting the She Reads Truth Advent book, and it's a
Okay.
beautiful book itself. Again, I am someone who likes the visual aspect of a book sometimes too,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure it goes through the 12 days of Christmas as well. And so it starts on December 1st, which is when Advent is starting this year, and it goes all the way. I'm pretty sure, and I feel like it does the 12 days because it has a
Okay.
36-day
Yeah.
cycle
Yeah.
in it, but it goes through just like different aspects of reading it. I don't know everything about it yet. I'm really excited about it because it's a good book, I think, for people who also enjoy like writing and journaling to an extent, to have these almost discussions within it with other people. I'm going to be going through it with a few friends.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful book. And it's like, when I say beautiful, it's not like a small book like these ones that you're showing, not that these are small, but it's
Yeah.
a full, like open, full piece of paper, like 12, like I think it's square. So let's say 10 inches by 10 inches kind of thing. Like it looks like a big piece of paper in that aspect, but beautiful aspects, even just looking in the book. And it's kind of cool because it has like different recipes in it too, and
Yeah.
different crafts and just different things that you can do within it. So it has like a lot of things to it. So you have more aspects to read it. I'm excited to actually see what it says.
Awesome.
And to actually look through it. I've only peeked through it, but I want to leave the surprise to each day and each reading.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to do it with friends too.
I was just gonna say that I add a whole different component to it, right? Because
Yeah.
especially if you chat about it like every so often,
Yeah.
you all have different observations of what stands out, right?
Exactly. And it's not like we're going into this as a book study, like number one, what did you read on day one? But like
Yeah.
just like once a week getting together. And one thing
Yeah.
I really like that She Reads Truth does is that they always have a grace day.
Yeah.
So there's always like 7 days, but the 7th day is always like a grace day. So also
Sort of
then if you
optional,
miss
yeah.
a different one, you can be like, oh, and you don't feel that pressure to
Yeah.
like if you miss a day, you miss a day, and you can continue it on a different day kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I
So-
always feel that pressure. I shouldn't, and so that's why I love that.
Yeah.
But I've been on like one of these books, like
And you miss a day and you're
where
like, I'm done.
I've read like 5 Bonhoeffers in one day, right? Like I got to catch up. I got to get close
Yeah.
to closer to where he's at in the
Yeah.
readings. But yeah, these books are good. The one you're reading sounds
I think
awesome.
it's going to be really
Yeah.
good. And I think that we were talking about it too. I'm pretty sure there's a He Reads Truth as well.
There is a He Reads Truth, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to look into that, and maybe I'll incorporate that into this year's reading. But I find that reading through books, though, during this time just allow you to think deeper.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't skip the scriptures. Read through the text, right? And make sure you get yourself in the biblical narrative as well. But feel free to like add something to it. I think you'll find it makes the season more rich and maybe allows you to focus more on the true meaning of everything that's happening. And so maybe you have a book that you read during Advent that we didn't mention. Let us know. Why don't you send us a recommendation? Tell us what you're thinking. Do you like to read during Christmas season? Throw something at us. We'd love to hear from you. So I think we're going to sign off in a minute here. You ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready to go to drink some more tea.
Yeah, what kind of tea do you have?
This is one of those like vitamin teas.
Okay.
But it's peach and a little bit of ginger. It's
nice.
great.
That sounds good. Sounds good. Well, I'm drinking a refreshing cup of something here. So it's water, but
it's not exciting at all.
But I'm gonna have a hot drink in a moment here. But yeah, let us know what you think. When can you start Christmas? When can't you start Christmas? What do you read during the season? The snow? Are you a fan? Do you have snow where you're at? Maybe you're not even going to get snow this year where you live, right? So let us know what you're thinking. Otherwise, you have yourselves a great week, and we'll see you next week for episode 20. 4. There we go.
I should know this.
We got it right.
I panicked. I was about to say something else. And then, anyway, bye-bye.
All good. See you later.
Unedited is a ministry expression of the Neighbourhood Church. Hosted by Ethan Andrews and Jordan McClellan. Produced by Ashley Drayton. Voiceover by me, M. Curry. Watch us on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook. Or listen on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Thanks for listening.